Imagine you have a big dream. You have the desire to achieve it, you are willing to work hard, but there is one problem: you are trying to do everything by yourself. You are trying to learn everything, solve every problem, make every decision, and handle every failure alone. But what if that is the wrong way to think? What if you could use the knowledge, experience, and ideas of other people to make your journey easier? This is exactly what Napoleon Hill explains in Chapter 10 of Think and Grow Rich. He calls this idea the mastermind. And the lesson is much simpler than it sounds. A mastermind means bringing people together who have a common goal. These people share their knowledge, ideas, experience, and skills. They help each other solve problems and move toward success. Think about building a house. One person might know how to design it, another knows how to build it, someone else understands electricity, and another person understands plumbing. One person cannot easily do all of these jobs perfectly. But when everyone works together, the house can be completed. Hill says success works in a similar way. You don't need to personally know everything. You need to know how to use knowledge effectively. Sometimes, the fastest way to gain knowledge is through other people. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they must become an expert at everything. Imagine you want to start a business. You may understand the product, but maybe you don't understand advertising. You may understand advertising, but maybe you don't understand accounting. You may understand accounting, but maybe you don't know how to build a website. If you try to learn everything before taking action, you could spend years preparing. Instead, you can find people who already have those skills. This doesn't mean you should completely depend on others. It means you should understand your own strengths and recognize where you need help. You don't need all the answers. You need access to the right answers. The people around you can also influence how you think. Spend time with people who are always complaining, and negativity can become normal. Spend time with people who are always learning, building, and improving, and their mindset can influence you in a positive way. This is why your circle matters. The right people can give you encouragement when you want to quit. They can point out mistakes you don't see. They can introduce you to new opportunities. They can share experiences that save you years of trial and error. Sometimes, one piece of advice from the right person can save you from making a huge mistake. A mastermind doesn't mean finding people who are exactly like you. In fact, differences can make the group stronger. You might be creative while someone else is analytical. You might be good at communication while someone else is good at planning. You might be willing to take risks while someone else is good at identifying those risks. When these different abilities come together, the group becomes more complete. That's why you shouldn't look for people who simply agree with everything you say. Look for people who can add something you don't have. A group of people doesn't automatically become a mastermind. They need a purpose. Imagine 5 people sitting together. One wants to build a business, another wants to become famous, another wants to make money quickly, and another doesn't really have a goal. They may have conversations, but they aren't working toward the same objective. A strong mastermind needs a clear direction. Everyone should understand what they are trying to achieve. Once the goal is clear, everyone can contribute toward it. Many people believe they must compete with everyone around them. If someone else succeeds, they think it means there is less success available for them. But Hill presents a different way of thinking. People can cooperate and still become successful individually. Think about a business team. The marketing person doesn't need to defeat the salesperson. The designer doesn't need to compete with the developer. They have different roles. When they work together, the entire business becomes stronger. The same thing can happen in your personal life. You can help someone else grow while growing yourself. Their success doesn't have to be your failure. Have you ever been stuck on a problem for hours? You keep thinking about it, but nothing works. Then you explain the problem to someone else, and suddenly they give you an idea you never considered. This happens because another person sees the problem from a different angle. You are looking at the situation from inside your own experience, while they are looking at it from the outside. That's why sharing ideas is powerful. You may have the knowledge, while another person may have the perspective. Together, you may find a much better solution. There is also an important difference between support and blind agreement. You don't need people who say yes to everything. You need people who can tell you when you're wrong. Imagine you have a business idea and you explain it to your friends. Everyone says, "That's amazing. You'll definitely succeed." You feel good, but nobody points out the problems. Now imagine someone says, "The idea is interesting, but this part might fail." At first, you may not like hearing it, but that criticism could help you improve the idea before you lose money. The right people don't just make you feel good. They make you better. A mastermind also isn't just about contacting people when you need something. If you only contact someone when you want help, you're not building a strong relationship. A real mastermind is based on mutual value. Help people, share useful information, give honest advice, celebrate their progress, and learn from their experience. When people know that you genuinely want to contribute, stronger relationships develop. Success becomes easier when people trust each other. A mastermind should also lead to action. It shouldn't just be a group chat full of motivational messages. A small group could meet every week and discuss what each person accomplished, what problems they are facing, and what they plan to do next. They can give each other advice and hold each other accountable. If you know you'll have to report your progress next week, you're more likely to actually do the work. The group becomes a source of knowledge, encouragement, and accountability. Your environment matters too. Think about your goals. If you want to become successful but everyone around you constantly tells you that success is impossible, it becomes harder to stay focused. Your environment can affect your beliefs. That's why you should intentionally expose yourself to people who are building the kind of life you want. Learn from them, study them, and listen to their experiences. But don't blindly copy them. Take the lessons that are useful and apply them to your own life. Let's take a simple modern example. Imagine you want to create a YouTube channel. You know how to speak and explain ideas, but you don't know video editing. You find someone who is good at editing. Then you meet someone who understands thumbnails. Another person understands YouTube SEO, while another understands storytelling. Now imagine all of you sharing knowledge. You can improve your videos much faster than if you tried to master every skill completely by yourself. That's the mastermind principle in a modern example. Different people, different skills, one purpose, and better results. You don't need to create a huge organization to use this idea. Start small. Find 2 or 3 people who are serious about improving themselves. They don't have to be your best friends, and they don't even have to live near you. You can communicate online. Choose people who have goals, people who are willing to learn, people who are honest, and people who can challenge your thinking. Talk about your goals, discuss your problems, share what you've learned, give each other feedback, and hold each other accountable. Over time, this small group can become extremely valuable. The main idea of Chapter 10 is not simply to find successful friends. It goes deeper. Hill wants you to understand that organized knowledge becomes more powerful when people combine their abilities toward a definite purpose. You have strengths, while other people have different strengths. You have weaknesses, and other people can help fill those gaps. You have limited experience, but someone else may have already faced the problem you're dealing with. When people work together with trust, cooperation, and a common goal, the result can be much greater than individual effort. The final lesson of Chapter 10 is simple: you don't have to build your dream alone. Your knowledge has limits. Your time has limits. Your experience has limits. But you can expand all 3 by learning from other people. Find people who are serious. Find people who think differently. Find people who are willing to help. And most importantly, become the kind of person who helps others too. Because the strongest mastermind isn't built on one person taking from everyone else. It's built on people growing together. One person brings an idea, another brings experience, another brings skill, and another brings encouragement. Together, they create something that would have been much harder to create alone. That is the real power of the mastermind. Don't try to know everything. Build relationships with people who know what you don't. And when the right people come together with the right purpose, ordinary effort can produce extraordinary results.